Good day to you. Today I want to read out a very well-known Christmas promise from Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6. However, after that I want to do a detailed analysis of what this promise was given for, what the problem is for the remedy of the Savior. Because many people reject the Savior, even the notion that they need someone helping them, because they think they are sufficient by themselves to handle all their problems without knowing what all those problems are, how serious the pathogenesis is. That's medical language. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis. Isaiah 9 verse 6 gives us the promise, for a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and that's the Savior, the Creator who came in human form as the babe of Bethlehem. And the government will be on his shoulder, a new kind of government that he brings. And that government was, brought into jurisdiction by what he bore on the shoulder, that was the cross and the resurrection. His name will be called Wonderful Counselor. So all that his name is, we receive. His counsel, when we accept his counsel, his wonder. So he is called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, that's who came in human form, Eternal Father, and Prince of Peace. Now, what is he providing this solution for? Because it is said there will be no end to the increase of his government of peace. So it will keep increasing, starting from Jerusalem to all the nations, or starting from one heart, 12 disciples, and into every tribe, tongue, and nation, that his government of peace in the hearts of men will increase. So what is this prescription for? We will not value the prescription unless we know how drastic the disease is. Here is the disease described from Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20. It is because they have no dawn, if they do not speak according to this word. They will pass through the land hard-pressed. So people are hard-pressed and famished, economic difficulty, and because of that, will turn out that when they are hungry, so that's a basic issue that Marxism always exploits, hunger, unequal distribution of wealth, and since 1970 this has become worse and worse. And in 1960 about 60% enjoyed 40% of GDP, and the other 40% enjoyed 60%. So it was not too bad. But as it is now, from about 2020, 1% of world's elite enjoy 99% of world's GDP. So it is as if there's a huge cruise on which the rich elite are enjoying, and all other population is starved, maintaining services. So even the professionals and so on. So this economic disparity causing people to be famished, of course, and will turn out when they are hungry, they will be enraged and curse their king and their God. So they will be angry with God, and they will start revolt against the rulers, who may be just as helpless as them, as national economies are taken over by the global political elite. Many nations, or some nations, there may be national leaders who play ball with the political elite, and in many other nations, the national leaders will have no option, because when national resources are taken over, debt structures are fabricated so that all nations will be made to take loans and get into debt. So such a time has come, and we are in those times. And when they are hungry, they will be enraged. Then they will look to the earth. There will be darkness, becoming worse as gloom of anguish, and they will be driven away from darkness. So it's an increasingly perilous scenario, gloomy scenario. But the solution is, as Isaiah 9 begins, no more gloom for those who are in anguish, because the Savior has come. And those who were despised and in contempt, they will see a glory by the way of the sea, and this salvation will come from Galilee, the worst or the most poverty-stricken part of Israel, Palestine at that time. People who walk in darkness will see a great light. Who live in a dark land, light will shine. So their personal life is a dark plot, but Jesus' light will shine. In him was life, and that life was the light of men, but they have to receive him. So God does not play favorites, or does God play favorites? It's according to whether you accept his favor or not. So when Mary, God visited a very humble, poor virgin called Mary in Nazareth of Galilee, and of her it was said, you are highly favored. Though she was poor, she was destined for a great mission and a commission God had, and you can be also that. The people shall increase their gladness, and this change will come, and there will be gladness of heart, and it will be called glad tidings, good tidings, true tidings. And what will it do? Here is the underlying pathology of the spiritual problem. You shall break the yoke of their burden. So those are heavy burdens of daily existence, unequal social structures, oppressors oppressing people economically, politically, and maybe socially, social outcasts and so on. Jesus touched all those fractions of society, prostitutes, the lepers, the outcasts, the downcast. He touched them particularly, knowing that when he heals the worst, nations improve. You shall so break the yoke of their burden and the staff on their shoulders. So there is a unequal yoke and an unjust staff, a scepter of wickedness that is governing them, human structures and human leaders. Then there is a rod of the oppressor, which is worse than the staff, as at the battle of yes. So rod is it's a kingly structure, a rule out of which they cannot get out. In economies and in politics, this rule goes on. Then every boot of the booted warrior in the battle. So not only that, there are people who are booted and armed to fight each other rather than find a solution. Rather than find the cause, they are fighting the effect, and they think their neighboring nation, the richer ones or the other ones, the different ones, the other side of society whom they don't like, they get into war booths and start wars. So wars are one way of continuing injustice, where the rich ruling elite use the oppressed people to get into war and arm them to keep their interests well protected. Then a cloak rolled in blood will be so the Savior will come and remove the war boots and the cloaks rolled for blood and for more war. He will disarm, and he will give us weapons of peace, how to make peace. And for this purpose, a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and his government will be very different. It will be a rule of our heart. And his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father. So let's trust the Lord for all what he has for us. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis. If you want any more clips of science, spirituality and reason, please send a WhatsApp to +94 74 211 5011. Thank you for listening. We'll meet again in another broadcast.